There we go. That was weird. Wow. That's so weird.
Contact.
You're done warming up. Stand by for deployment to the war zone.
The real fight begins now.
All right, we got this team. Come on. All right, let's throw it in, guys. Let's go, 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 go.
Battle Royale.
All right, where we going?
Drop point for your team. You'll lead them in.
Where you guys want to go?
Gas is approaching your position.
I don't care.
Big Jam, go ahead and choose the location, sir. Go. I say hospital, sir. Jump it out. Go, go, go.
Oh, we have to shoot the alley, bro.
Eliminate all targets in the AO.
I will be the pilot.
Bunch of shotguns. I love the shotgun and all, but I think we're gonna stick with the AR class here, guys.
Multi-target identified. Slot the bastard.
All right, where'd you guys go? Jim's over there. Oh man, we're all split up. Okay, be careful.
Well, I can come to you.
How's everybody so far, Jay? What game is this? We're playing Warzone right now, guys. Warzone. Xbox Live is still broken. That's good. All right, that's good. Yeah, surprisingly, right? Even for me, bro, my game is running perfect on freaking PC. Oh, no wonder I'm playing 60 FPS. Whoops. What if I change it? Hold on. No wonder it's running smooth. But you know what, though? It is running smooth, so I can't complain. Wait. I have it set to 120. Oh, I got VSync on. There we go.
I had already hopped out of the...
Sure, what happened?
They blew me up.
Your teammate has entered the gulag. Surviving earns them redeployment.
All right, Jay, be careful, bro. I'm camping. I ain't gonna lie. Oh man, it's so weird, right, bro? Remember back in the day we used to play Call of Duty all the time, bro?
Stand by.
What was that, like Black Ops and Modern Warfare 3 days? Jay, do you see anything by me?
Hold on, this... My headset's loud, hold up.
Yeah, you good.
This what?
Bum 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 bum. There you go, Germ.
Back.
Okay, you got the COVID. You're calling out vicious individual D's.
Good for you. No, no.
Going this way.
Careful, Jake.
Contact.
2 more.
Let's finish it. Contact.
We're out of time. Scrub the contract.
Come on, really? I'm done, bro, with these clips. Like, what are these modified low ammo ammunitions?
I guess so.
People can like spray at me, but then I feel like I shoot 5 bullets and I'm empty.
I know.
Man, come on, man. No way. Ticks me off. That's bogus, yo. F you, okay? I'm not gonna flick it, but I'm gonna F it.
Listen up, soldier. You win here and you return to the front
Yeah,
line.
the game was kind of annoying.
Sort them out.
I unloaded pretty much a whole clip of that one first guy, and then I had to reload, and his team came in there and killed me.
That's how you do it! I'm coming back! Woo!
Ooh, give me a shotgun, yes.
Oh, what the hell?
Okay, we're inside. Scaffolding.
Your teammate got a proper sword.
Wow, camp in the corner, dude. Yeah, you're trash.
Team is KIA. It's up to you.
Jared, what happened, bro?
Corner movement from me to cover up. I hate that.
Yeah. Keep those headphones handy, bro.
Well, I ended up with my good luck because the guy was. But I had all that money too. I had a bunch of money. Oh, there's a couple guns over there in my body too. Where was that? Ooh, nice. That's a good one. Sucks I had a decent loadout and everything, but I like my gun. You definitely gotta switch the other gun out though. That gun sucks.
Enemy UAV overhead.
I did do some after the helicopter. Okay, they're back out again. That worked really well. Ooh, yeah, that's that. Wow, that.
Alright, I got almost enough to revive you guys. Hold on.
I hope you can find the guy that killed me.
Need some more money, guys.
Hell, that was a mob.
Gas inbound. Safe zone relocated.
Watch yourselves here, guys. I mean, really, my loadout's all right. Okay.
Sometimes those windows are wooden.
Enemy UAV overhead.
All right, let me think here for a second. We need money.
Proceed to the marked location and secure the area.
All right, let's stay alive here, guys. We just got to stay alive just a little longer. Like, we're in the circle, so I ain't worrying about it. And we're about to get the claymores back. Oh yeah, let's just go easy with it, guys. Need more money. Where's the other we're gonna hold it down. 28 players and I'm by myself. Do me a favor, press the show me the shop center. I think it's alt. Pretty far away. Alright.
Yeah, it is.
Alright, not only that, I don't have enough yet anyway. I kill somebody along the way. I might as well yell away. Why just sit here? I am in a good spot though. I got claymores everywhere.
Somebody goes to that building, they make it though, so that's good.
Alright, nice and easy, guys.
You can slam the door, or shut the door, and just like slam it as loud as it possibly can.
Gas inbound. Safe zone relocated.
Alright. Point that out to me again one more time.
Oh, right in the middle.
That is a depth trap.
Gas is moving.
There's no
Scrub the contract is
Damn.
over.
Might be a little.
I don't know, man. I should try it, but I don't know. I'm scared to risk it. How far is it again? This way?
Yep, by the hospital.
Oh, man. Right where we started originally.
Where?
Being tracked by an enemy team. Stay sharp.
Oh, now you beat that too. That sucked. Yeah, you probably would have moved. What sucks about being hunted is you're actually spotted on the map, so they know exactly where you're at.
Oh, man. This circle's about to get super small, too.
At least they're not getting close to you yet, so that's good.
Gas is closing in. Relocating the safe zone.
When you get to 3 lines, you got to be ready.
Oh, they don't see me yet?
Yeah, they're not close to you yet. They're kind of far away. Ooh, nice. Oh man, I wish I was in there. That gun sucks.
Yeah, I hate that.
The reload takes forever.
Oh, I want to get you, man. But they're watching that area, too.
Okay, let's see if there's anything close to here. There's one right there, not too far.
Gas is moving.
This is dangerous.
Yeah, there's a few teams. I
Enemy
think one of
UAV
the
overhead.
sniper. I seen him shoot from like a roof. Oh yeah, nope.
They're desperate, man.
Yeah, they just camped that loadout too. Oh, now you got the storm's coming too, so yeah.
Come on, really? Wow, 2 shots, bro? I'm done. Like, what is it with this? Like, I don't see how that was 2 shots. I had full armor and health. Unless it was a semi sniper rifle, but it seemed like an AR to me.
Yeah, I think they are.
Man, I don't like that, bro. It got me because I had to go for something. That's all really they got me. How the hell you quit
Yeah,
this
they
damn
give-
thing? I don't want to sit here and watch them. I don't want to watch them for it.
The bad thing is they camped the.
Yeah, well, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I would do it too, but yeah, man. I went to that one because it was near the gas. I kind of figured it was safer than the other one, but I guess not. All right. Oh my god, I keep clicking the damn store. They put that there on purpose. Oh yeah, I think he got off. Holy macaroni. Oh god, they're so close. This is hard to get number one. This ain't Fortnite. Fortnite players definitely don't come to Warzone. Unless you like to play with bots and get easy wins and hide in bushes. And build buildings to the top and survive, luckily. Alright, well,
Yeah, my gulag, I had that shotgun, the automatic shotgun.
mm-hmm.
The guy I was playing against, he just camped around the corner, just waited.
Wow. Really?
Like, wow, he didn't even move. Yeah, he just sat there right around the corner, right from his like spawn point. He just stayed there. So I ran around the corner. He was right there, and he shot me twice. And...
Wait, you're Ghost Dragon, right?
Yeah.
Why does it always show Trixzbot equal every time I add you? Like, that's story. The heck?
I don't even think he plays this game anymore.
Yeah, but literally, like, I click on you, and then, you know, when you click players, it shows their name.
Oh, yeah.
For you, it shows Boricua. Wow.
Wow. I guess I changed my name.
It's like a Blizzard issue, and it's been doing that for a long time, too. Like, I've seen that for quite a while.
Yeah, I know that some people on my list does that too sometimes.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's just the whole. It's one of their matchmaking issues, I think.
Yeah.
Cause I know their matchmaking sometimes is all screwed up.
Oof.
That plunder, I've always wanted to try that plunder, but it looks kind of dumb because all you do is just try to make the most money that you can make and try to
Right.
last.
Not good.
What happened to the other guy that we were playing with?
I think he got off. Probably has something he had to do real quick.
Dang. So he left us in the middle of a match. Like I'm out. We should get Thomas on here, but he can never figure out how to add us. We can't get him to add either.
Yeah, I think he's trolling us.
Probably.
Oh, he doesn't even have Call of Duty.
Probably not. Yeah, because I've added him several times and he keeps saying the same thing. Oh, there's an error adding him.
Wow. I'm looking at this meme right now. This guy at the store puts like his Pepsi, whatever, in a bucket, carries it over. And the guy puts the money in the bucket and carries it across so they don't go 6 feet over. Wow.
I can't believe that's actually running good. Wow.
Huh?
I can't believe my game is actually running.
Yeah, that's amazing, bro. It is amazing. All right, let's do this.
Even though it's private.
Dude, what the heck? Like, when I don't play or I'm not on, nobody's on. But the minute I'm about to go offline or say I can't play anymore, everybody's like, hey, what's going on? It's like, it's crazy. Yo, what's going on, boy? How are you? Oh my gosh. Right.
Did you change your loadout again back to the normal one or what?
Honestly, dude, my loadout's been whatever it's been. It's crazy. I think the only I still got some custom loadouts I haven't even like edited yet. Most of mine were just for like regular multiplayer, so I still got RPGs because you know I love to RPG and cyber attack. That was it. Yeah, yeah, I know. I don't remember which one I made for. I think this one was my Warzone. Yeah, you know what? Let me rename these actually. So I'm gonna rename these to Warzone 1. Maybe even put a hashtag.
Yeah, my 6 through 10, I haven't even edited them. It's just whatever was there.
Right.
But I usually use my first one, which is the AX50 and a P90.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Unbelievable. All right, well, let's do this again. And I don't even know who some of these people. All right. Let's do it.
So we'll probably get some random.
Probably.
Wonder why my NAT type changed to moderate on here now.
It's moderate. Probably your PC. This game is very weird for moderate. Like, you gotta really make sure. What I learned is, bro, just buy a different router. Like, I never used a company router. Every time I use like a cable company router provider, always problems, bro. Always got port forwarding issues or NAT issues. I literally, when a cable company comes over and I'm like, look, don't give me your garbage. Just activate the internet. I got the rest. And they look at me like, what?
Yeah.
Like, I ain't got time for that. Like, I don't want that garbage. Like, I don't want. Well, we got a level 1 on our team. What the?
Oh wow.
No. No, we don't have a level 1. I don't believe it. Let me grab me a drink while we're loading in.
Okay.
Get yourself sorted. We'll be deploying shortly.
No, we have to survive. We have to survive. Oh gosh, I'm gonna get shot at.
Try her boat. What? I broke his armor only with the shot to the face. Okay. Well, he headshotted me. Wow. Hey, but dude.
Probably all PC players. Hey, this was one of the Spec Ops story mode.
Dude, I never did finish that. I got a crossbow. The most useless weapon.
Warm up's done. Time to kick this off.
I like how that guy said like he's. I didn't even get no pack unlock into the shot because the last time I played, I was getting pack unlock for crazy.
Yeah, right. All right. Well, let's get this next round and let's get this win and actually do this thing. Where are we going?
Be advised, gas is closing in.
Airport's pretty cool. Hospital's way down there. I don't know, wherever you want, bro. Or I don't know what this guy's doing.
I like where we went the last time.
All right, let's go. Jump, go. I see you. What's going on, Bori? How are you? How's everything going? Oh, there you are. Now you're in the right one. You were in the other one last time. Okay. How's everything going? Hello. I gotta take that out with Nightbot. Did you get there?
Not yet, though. I'm trying.
Speaking about that, Boy, I do have a quick question. Does you know who plays this too, or no? Oh gosh, we got armor plates. Oh gosh, come on. Give me a weapon.
Enemy UAV overhead.
Oh man, just a bunch of broken doors. Oh man, I need to get that chest wherever it is.
There's the device.
This is bad. Nothing but pistols. Got some cash. Yeah. Oh, okay. Hey, what's their do they play it on the PlayStation or Xbox? I want to add them. See if they want to get on. Do they have this game? I know they have this game. Holy crap! Scared the crap out of me, bro. Holy dear jeez Louise, man.
You scared me too. I heard somebody
I'm
walking around here like
you know I play a lot of scary games, bro. I only got a pistol though. This pistol is not gonna cut it. PlayStation here, sleep. Oh, okay. I gotcha. Okay, cool. When you can, just send me a message. Let me know what their gamer tag is. Oh. Oh my gosh. How are you today? How are you doing with this whole quarantine thing going on with the world? Who's being hunted? Our teammate's being hunted right now.
He ran away from us too.
Assault rifle here.
What? What? 5 months in a row. Look at that. Thank you so much for that sub. Hey, welcome to the squad again. It's nice to have you back aboard. Absolutely. Sorry, bro. I had a sub. My bad. My bad.
Recon is
Okay.
secure.
Thank you. Oh my god. My first sub today.
Here.
Made me so happy.
Body armor.
Appreciate it. Body armor. Oh. Yo, I really need a weapon. I'm still rocking a freaking pistol. What am I gonna do with this thing? See what I'm gonna do. Here we go. There we go. I'm finally getting some things. Oh, what's going on here? Oh, okay.
I'll take that PID.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. You're welcome. I know. Appreciate it so much. It's so good.
Trophy system deployed.
No, but seriously though, it's good to have you back though. I'm glad you're glad you really stopped by. I really do. It's awesome. I remember we used to hang out all the time on the other platform. Yo guys, we ain't alone here, man. We need to watch ourselves. Is he okay?
Gas is closing in.
Yeah. So what's been going on? What's new? Like, we've been getting a lot of familiar faces
I'm
back.
gonna go buy a loadout, but there's gunfire over there.
Yeah, be careful. Oh, was it? Oh, there was. Yeah. Dude, what's up with this guy? Is he a bot, bro? Like, look at him. And then his name too. Like, well, he is hunted, so maybe he doesn't want to move.
Yeah, possibly, yeah.
I have no idea, bro.
We got. It's almost over there.
Evaded the enemy track. Good work.
And then he moved when he's not hunted.
Yeah.
Let me watch his movement, bro. Hold on. I'm curious. Are there bots in this game? No, he's not. He's not.
I think so, but
Not moving. Oh my god!
Okay.
Oh wait. He's moving.
Cancel movement.
Oh no, bro. He kind of moves like the AI. No, he's a player. Yeah, I don't think an AI would do all that.
yeah, I don't think so.
Unless that's some advanced AI.
Do you want to go with me over to the loadout?
Yeah, let's go get that shenanigans. Well, where the hell is it?
It's like
Where is it? Do you see this? Oh my gosh. I'm glad that you hit the share resub though, because that way it shows it in chat. I appreciate it. Yeah, man. Yeah, but the viz.com, like I was saying earlier, bro. You know, like that, because what's happening is the plugin that they're using relies on Flash or whatever, like a little bit of, or not with Flash, with the MPAPI or whatever the crap. I guess Google is disbanding it.
Ooh, man, that sucks.
So that's gonna really make it, yeah, that oh gosh, whoa. Hold on, stand out of the way. Anybody out there? Oh dear jeez. Watch your back. There's one down there, careful.
I see movement.
There's 3 over there on that side. I weaken them up a bit. Oh! Yo, march the bottom, bro.
Claymore set.
Watch it, they're out there.
Yeah. Are they on the roof?
No, they're at the building across from us.
Ow.
You know what? I got an idea. Marked one for ya. I'm marking them, don't worry.
I see him now, but
They got me, Yeah, there's 2 over there, so watch it.
wow, how did he even see me? What the heck?
Stay there. The hell? Seriously? Wow, there's like this weird railing up there. He's gonna try to snipe me. Shoot, watch your step when you get out there.
You know, there's some garbage. I wasn't even kicked out there and he's still.
Watch it, they're out there.
Wow.
Dang it, man, come on. What the hell is our teammate doing?
He's not doing anything.
I hate that we can't do anything on the ground.
I know.
Whatever, bro. This dude's trash. Oh, at least we get a chance to come in. I almost left. I forgot about that.
Oh, come on. Whatever.
Eh. We get lucky in this game. Ooh, shotgun?
You're done here. Sort them out or capture the objective.
I get this stupid pistol.
Now I'm coming back in. I'll get you a revive. Did you die?
Yeah.
I need you to call the store out for me. I can't see, bro. Then again, I do want this custom loadout.
Teammate is redeployed. Stand
Yeah,
by.
it's like that. They just kept selecting me every time I pee. That's the only thing I think that sucks about this game, man. They just, when they see somebody, they just have their camp until they.
Yeah, it's all good. Just keep me posted, bro. Oh, I lost my money. Oh, come on. Yeah.
You get part of it back, but you don't get all of it.
Yeah, I lost a lot. I had like 9,000. I only got like 1,500 right now. Wow, whatever, man.
I had a bunch too. I had over 10,000.
Come on! What the hell? Oh my god!
Teammate at?
Oh, why am I shooting single fire? Like, oh my god, this game.
Proper teacher.
Would have helped if the teammate would have been next to you.
Yeah. I'm not watching these dummies. Alright, I'm leaving. Patience
That
away.
was pretty.
Right, well, let's level up. Look at it, my CPU just spiked to 96%. Why? That's stupid. Fix your damn game. AAA Activision developers, man, and they're like, they want to be so stingy and like pull their game off on like on certain things because they're so greedy for their money. That's crazy. That's why I'm finding alternate methods anyway. So I can still play this game on my mobile right now if I want to. I found a better way to do it.
Yeah, I tried, but man, controller sucks.
And I'm trash with the controller, bro. But you know what though? Like I'm starting to think like these people with controller are getting lucky, bro. Like their shots, I watch like their gun. You can tell there's like a string pulling their weapon towards a player, saying, "Come this way, follow my lead." And like,
Yeah, it's like once they pull the left trigger, they lock onto the target. It just follows that target.
well, it's not like auto aim, but the assist is a bit too strong. I feel like they need to weaken it a bit, but they did that intentionally. So
Because I've seen quite a few players with controller play it. It's
they get
just like
lucky.
when they pull the aim down sight trigger, it just like locks right on that target until that target is
Yeah.
either.
Well, that's like when I snipe. When I used to use the controller in Call of Duty. Don't get me wrong. I was always Call of Duty controllers for the longest time. This is the first Call of Duty I've actually went mouse and keyboard. But like, I used to sit there and like if you hard scope and you'll feel the scope move a bit, letting you know that there's a player. So it's like your aim knows the player is there before you actually see the player. So that's why there's aim assist, so that way it assists with the aim because the it's not precise. So that's why the aim assist is in the play.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love this, bro. People come in sometimes and they're just like, "How'd you go?" Or what they say? How you do this? How do I get my game go live? Hey, hi to you too. Welcome. How are you? Whoa, hey, what's your username? What time zone are you from? Are you surviving the outbreak? Nice to meet you too. Jeez, people come in with questions like that's annoying. I don't know.
Yeah, they kick people in the lobby too. That's one thing I hate about their lobby system. It's like broken.
Yeah, it really is. It really is, bro.
Every time I back out, I get kicked out of the party.
Big time.
It says leave game, so I click leave game, then it leaves the whole party and everything.
That's new. I've never seen that one before. Thank you. Ah, that's what those are. Yeah, that's true, bro. Wait, what happened? Did you get kicked out or something?
But I left the match.
It still says you're Boricua, man. I didn't know you were Boricua, bro. You speak Spanish? Okay. Okay.
I wish they would fix this stuff, man. There's so many.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk to Bori about that. I think he hacked your account, bro. He put his name in your bio.
Because he don't want to play it no more, so he has to get leveled up somehow.
Yeah, like I don't mind the Call of Duty. I like it. I think what really intrigues me about this is the crossplay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I know I can train about the aim assist, or contrain about the aim assist. The hell is that? I know I complain about the aim assist, but honestly, dude, not so much when I'm live, but like even offline when I do play this, I play with people on consoles for the most part. I don't really. Most people on PC play it, but most of the PC players kind of got their own deal going on. But yeah, like my friends, my brothers, they all be on Xbox, or I got people on PlayStation, and we'll sit there and we'll play games together. It's cool because like most of the time they're console players playing this.
Yeah.
And honestly, bro, there was a big controversy about like rumor has it about controller or about competitions with this game, and if that's the case, people are complaining about how mice and keyboard is quicker response time or whatnot, but the aim assist is just unreal. Like you can get lucky.
Overbalances with the aim assist because the aim assist is more powerful than your flick of the wrist.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And what I found out too earlier when I was playing on my Xbox, my account goes over to that too, which is really cool. So I don't have to like start all over.
Wow, really?
Because I was actually playing on my account on here.
Yeah, Bori's on Destiny 2 right now. I still gotta finish that game. I forgot about that.
I haven't even played it since I had to delete it because I had a big room for another game when my hard drive was all messed up.
Mm-hmm.
And I never did reinstall it.
Oh.
So, but I did get the game we were talking about earlier. I got that reinstalled again. The bleeding edge.
Okay, well that's good. That's good.
So we could try that out sometime.
Yeah, no, honestly, I almost went live with that earlier. But I thought about it. I saw you on Dead Island. I ain't gonna lie. And then I had a couple people all talking about they were ready to play some Warzone. And yeah, I did have a squad at first, but they all kind of left. I was like, dang.
They dipped on you pretty quick too. I see like what 2 matches. They're
Yeah. Well, the one I knew you had to go to work, but the other one I'm like, bro, you're laid off right now. You're because of the quarantine. Like you don't have to go to work. Man, people got lives. I'm not gonna like force people. But it's funny because like these people blow me up, bro. And some of them I know in real life, so they blow me up in the DMs talking about, dude, like every time you go live, you don't play with us. I'm like, okay. And then when I play with them, look what happens.
yeah.
So I'm gonna have a conversation with these guys later. Like, yo, you guys were on my case talking about I don't invite you guys. I'm too busy with my viewers, and or you're too good to play with us, and I play with them, but then they only want to do a match or two, and they gotta go.
Yeah, we gotta go. Oop.
Yeah. Yeah, that Escape from Tarkov though. I was watching a streamer play it, and I got to see a little better input about the game. It looks okay, man, but man, I don't know, man. $40. Ugh.
And the thing that annoys me most about that game is the sound effects of the footsteps. They're just so cringy sounding. Every time you step on rocks, it's just horrible though. You think the footsteps are loud in this game? You just hear those. If you step on steel, it sounds like you're stepping on steel, but it's like echoing through the whole building, so everybody can hear where you're at.
Right.
So that's the only thing I don't like about the game, but of course it's more realistic that way, so you have to be really quiet, otherwise you're going to be spotted and found.
It will be okay. Honestly, we'll be okay.
They had just like a free trial or something of it, like a free weekend one time. Try it out, that'd be so much nicer.
Yeah.
But I doubt they'll ever do that because I haven't seen one yet with that game.
Bro, I've been slacking on Grand.
I haven't even been on there.
Bro, I've been slacking. I became high command, right? I became a head helper. And it's funny because I had the one like high up admin talk to me and they're like, hey, we don't want to give you like these extra promotions if you're not wanting the extra responsibilities or if you feel like you can't do it or don't want to do it. I'm like, yeah, it's cool, and then here I am not even playing now. They're probably gonna say like, oh, I thought, I don't know, bro. GTA, I don't know, bro. Don't get me wrong, I like the server. It's just the GTA 5 in general. It's like I like the concept of it, but it's not like San Andreas, bro. I wish it was like San Andreas. Yeah, the graphics are there, but honestly, the roleplay is so different. Like, everybody's always getting kidnapped and stuff. I'm not really feeling that kidnapping.
Yeah.
Like, that kidnapping's kind of annoying. Like, one time I got kidnapped to a store. I was like, really? Oh my god. Wow. Oh, that's you. Behind you, bro. No! You son of a biscuit!
I didn't see anybody. Oh man, there's so many pings up there right now.
Enough practice. Time for the real thing.
Okay.
I missed the room.
Alright, Jay, I'm gonna let you call this one, bro. Where you wanna go? Last time we had the random called it or whatever. Half of these people are on, ooh, I like the FPS in the air, bro. We get good FPS up here. I don't know, bro. I got a GTX freaking 1080. I can't even like sustain high frame rate. I can when I have OBS closed. But once OBS is open, it farts on itself.
I get 76 all the time.
Yeah, it's annoying, bro. I mean, I would love to make a second PC, but looking at the way streaming has been lately, I don't want to spend that money right now. I can't. Nah. And you know you can use like an old computer sitting in your house. You know you can use it as a router, right?
No, I didn't know that. Because my company don't let you use a store-bought router. That's gonna be way off.
Targets are up. Get to work.
Love how there's like,
Yeah, that roof.
love how there's like nothing on these rooftops. Seriously. Oh, thank goodness. I got something. What you got, Jay? Anything good down there, bro?
I got a shotgun.
Stay alive with me, bro. Stay alive with me. Oh, medical syringe? Hell yeah, I'll take that.
I think there might be people near me, I'm not sure. Okay, this will be coming down towards you now.
That's interesting. I see Halo, Mr. Halo. Or Oblo. Yeah, he moves like a bot. Bro, I think there's bots in this game, bro.
It's possible.
Yo, we got this Oblo. Let's go. Let's see if he talks. Nope, he doesn't talk. He's a bot. The way he's moving. Oh no, bro. Oh wait, he's under fire. Oh shoot, we gotta help him. We gotta help him. No.
Oh, he killed him.
Oh, he did? Wow.
Killed him.
Wow. Nah, maybe there is no bots. It's not confirmed yet, so I can't really. I'm gonna keep my eyeballs open. Ooh, look at that email down. Look at you. Oh, God. Lord, yo, guess who's back in the chat? Do you see the chat?
I don't have it up.
Oh. Oh.
My second monitor is being weird right now. I don't know what the heck's going on.
Oh, yeah. I believe it. Yeah, no. Donated Woody came in with the sub.
Oh, yeah, I see that, yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, man with pink hair. Man with pink hair, huh? I'm gonna go with the bouncing Betty.
Man, are you on the roof?
Yeah, I'm on the rooftop. Yep, I'm on the roof. Am I missing something?
I was trying to find you. I was like, where you at?
Man, so many birds in this game. What the heck? Are you trying to be like Battlefield? Why does love always feel like a battlefield? Yo, oh, that's you below me.
Yeah.
Alright, well, I'm trying to get things. I don't know, man. Oh, wait, there's money up here.
That person left the money up here? Wow, that was weird. Why would you leave money up here?
I have no idea. Do you want a flash? It's not the Marvel, DC Marvel Flash, but it's Flash. Thank you, Barry. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Oh, nice.
Our teammate needs help, bro.
Enemy team is tracking your position.
Oh, Jay!
Oh no.
Contact.
At least the threat is.
Yeah, look at these big giant like turrets at top of this building, bro. We can't use them.
Give me.
Wow, they're just for looks. These would be nice to take out the choppers.
Oh yeah, definitely.
What a rip off. Alright, bro, we're gonna have to make a jump for it. You ready? Wait, where are we on the map? Eventually we're gonna have to go to the hospital. Where's that at? Yeah, where's the hospital? I marked it, didn't I? Oh, this way. How come I don't see it?
I'm moving.
Yep.
Alright, I'm gonna go to the side of this building here. I don't know what our teammate is doing, bro. He's weird. He's kind of spooky spookity. Yeah. Man with the tiger mask?
So the hospital over that mountain.
That emoji dude that what he sent kind of reminds me of the what does the box say? Not that I'm singing that song, but Alright, Jay, watch our back. Watch our back. Oh, behind us.
Oh, got another 3. So they're near us somewhere.
Got one down. Nice job. You took them all down.
Okay. Oh,
Pablo down there going at it, bro. He's going at it. I give him like aerial support though, so they got distracted big time with that.
yeah, our threats go down though, so.
Yeah. All right, let's go.
We got under a minute, so.
He's grabbed all the good stuff too. Oh gosh. Well, we're still in a circle, so we're good, you know.
Yeah, I just want that threat level to go down, so. We're not.
Yeah, I'm getting about 90, 100 FPS here. Changes when I turn my camera fast. Alright. But I'm okay with that. I'm getting better FPS in Warzone than I do regular multiplayer. What the heck?
55, 60. If I'm.
There's Thomas. Thomas, we were talking about you, bro. You lying to us, man? Man, what do you think? What do you think, Jay?
Thank you.
We need to get in the city, but be very careful about it.
Yeah, my FPS dropped.
Oh, to the right, to the right.
I see movement.
Careful.
What's that?
Yeah.
What?
What?
I switched my gun out and I lost it. What?
Sure, we all got fully loaded armor there. Ooh. Thomas keeps farting, man. You're gonna have to go grab him a big boy diaper.
13. I don't want to do 13. Let's see what's upstairs.
Contact. Contact. Find a vendor. Get you supplies.
Careful. I was shooting at him, but he was
Mark out. Moving.
I'm gonna go up here. Where'd he go?
I see movement.
Got him. Oh, behind us, behind us. Oh, rooftop. Get down, get down.
Gas is inbound. Marking new safe zone.
All right, that was probably his teammate, buddy.
Still trying to shoot me? Sucks too. I don't have a good. It actually has a scope or anything.
I don't want to waste my Betty. That's you. That's Ablo. Get back out here. All right. Armor plating. I think we're looking good. Hold on. Let me give. Hold on, Ablo. Let me get you an armor here.
Got that load out. It's so close to us.
All right, I gave him an armor plate. You know, our teammate's actually doing good, bro. All right, watch yourselves.
I can't see nothing with this gun.
Contact.
Where are they at? You shoot us.
Yeah, they're on top of the building. I marked them. Yeah, I weakened him. I got some hits on him. Couldn't do that with the controller, that's for sure. But I ain't got a sniper or nothing, man. This is just a regular AR.
Oh,
Oh, shit.
Yeah, there's somebody at the bed too somewhere.
I see movement. Contact.
Watch it, they're at the hills too. I marked them for you guys.
Yeah, I just got shot at that guy.
Hold on, Jay.
Maybe we should go farther in town.
Yeah, where's the we're in the circle. We're like dead center. We're good. They're just trying to hold down hospital. That's what they're doing.
Yeah, there's a loadout right over there too. I like to get my loadout because I can't do this good.
Yeah.
I can't see anything with this gun. I don't have a...
Moving! Disregard nothing. Disregard nothing.
Hold on, let me get Halo Oblo. Or Oblo. Here's another armor plate.
Is it taking that long to pick them up?
I guess he doesn't need them. Is he a bot? Is he real? That's screwed. I'll take it. He just. I just wanted to make sure he didn't have low armor. All right, well, just watch ourselves. We're still holding it down. I suggested we can get like to a building. It'd be better. I'm thinking like maybe over here.
Going this way.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Who's behind us?
Ah, what the heck?
I got you guys.
I'll stop the bleeding.
What hit us?
The plane.
In a building?
Yep.
That thing is OP. Wow.
Oh my God! I can't revive you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Get ready to move.
That is ridiculous. In a building. Wow. So you know you. Wow.
They're coming in. They're coming in.
Gas is inbound. Marking new safe zone.
What's behind me?
Why would you?
Got him. Oh, that's how you do it, boy. I'm busy. What? What happened? Hold on, hold on. I'm getting killed again. Dang it, man. My son got me again, bro. Come on, dude.
Oh wow, I'm getting shot from behind. Wow, we're getting shot from.
Yeah, we should have been left this area. I don't know why we stood here. That's why I put a beacon out. My God, I got interrupted. Thanks.
Yeah, we shouldn't stay there. Yeah. We should have.
Please keep clearing me while I'm playing the game. I cannot hear you with headphones on.
This is the Gulag. Survive and you can redeploy.
Oh, don't mess with that.
While you wait, feel free to
Just let it do its thing. Leave it alone.
find something to throw.
But don't swallow it. But just be careful. Well, at least I got a retry. Hey, man, it's the second time my son did that to me, man.
I know.
Oh, I hate being interrupted. Like, leave me alone, please.
You were doing so.
When I'm in the zone, I'm in the zone. Like, I was getting double, triple kills, and you just come in talking to me. I can't hear you. All I hear is gunshots, gunfire. Oh. Yeah, I know, Thomas. It's all good, bro. Yeah, you got Speedy with you solid? Yeah, I got Jim, so we're not going to be able to match up, bro. My bad. I thought you were, like, solo.
Win here and you return to the front line. You lose,
I killed him.
the fight is over.
You did? All right, I'm going to try to... Hopefully I can...
Soldier.
It was so easy.
Teammates got their arse kicked.
What you get? Boom! Smack him in the face.
Stand by for
I gotta take out my anger on him. Alright, where's my stuff? Hospital? Oh, this is dangerous.
not the best sniper in the world.
Come on, give me my weapon already. Jeez, why does it take so long to...
Why is the weapon switching so trashy?
Yeah, I know. Oh my god. Things get me killed in this game so much. Oh my god, this was a long climb up.
Yeah, it sucks we got peached on that.
Well, at least I'm holding down a rooftop, but you got... Man, really, all my money is gone, bro.
I got 2,800, so before we can buy the guy back.
Safe zone
Okay,
located.
there you are.
Yeah, there's no point in going where we were because I know for a fact our stuff is gone. Well, you're kind of close to it, really.
You want to meet at the...
Watch it, Jim. One in that building.
Yes, I see somebody. You're right.
Wow, hit markers for days, and I got no bullets. Oh my god. Oh wait, there's a chest. Oh, come on! I fell. Are you serious? I'm done, bro. Oh my god! Like, why can't I climb? This is really aggravating me. Whatever, man. Oh, at least there's stuff in here, I guess.
Oh, I killed both of them.
Okay, why can't I grab the ammo from the gun?
I just went up on both those guys.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
Yeah. Sorry, Solid. Yeah. Too bad this is not a... They didn't have a 4-player battle royale. Why 3 players, bro? That's it?
I know.
Gay, bro. Like, come on. Like, you got solo and 3s. Like, who did that? Like, Apex did the same thing. Like, why would you not... You got your multiplayer of groups of 6. Even your co-op spec ops is 4. What the hell are you doing with 3 players? This is... We don't need triplets.
Why?
Oh, you guys are all dead?
I swear there's hackers in this game. I swear.
No, there is. It's a first-person shooter, and people with controllers, they use the
ran right up to me and knew exactly where I was at.
drop shot mods and stuff. Oh my god, I can't go through the doors? Okay.
Oh.
God.
And he just walked right up to me and shot. Like he knew exactly where I was at. Like, really? How do you know? I had so much money too. I had like 4,000. We could have got both.
Yeah, I don't have no more money.
If we could go back to where I was at, get my money back.
Nah, it's gone. They definitely grabbed it.
Gas is moving in. New safe
Yeah, I
zone
know we could
located.
kill him. I need him.
Only 20 players still? Oh my god, what's with the freaking aim in this game? Come on!
Loadout drop headed your way.
That's annoying. I'm done. I'll go out the other way. Stupid lucky. I want to say, how come I don't get freaking aim assist? There's people shooting everywhere. I need bullets. Oh my god! Dude, I got 2-shotted! Get out of here with that. That garbage, dude. But on his screen, he sprayed the hell out of me. Look at this, hip fire, aim assist. Keep using your damn controller. You ain't nothing. Damn, dude. This is my freaking... What the hell, man? I tried to switch weapons. I want to switch weapons.
Oh wow. I'm getting...
I know, right, Alexander? Yeah, he do need to go to bed, but now with this quarantine, everybody's awake. Ain't no school. Yeah, that's it, GG. Oh, God. Oh, where does it show my kills?
At the end, after it shows all the stats and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I only got 5.
We went off.
My God.
I only thought I had 3 kills, but I got 5.
I just don't understand why I'm not making it in like the top 3. It's crazy. Try not to get too aggravated. I'm enjoying it, but I'm hating it at the same time.
It's funny playing with it.
Yeah. I know, I'm about to straight dog some of the people that be trying to tell me to play with them. Especially after the stuff they've been pulling, talking about play with them. Like, yeah, okay. Y'all ain't gotta go to no job, no work, no nothing, no responsibility. You ain't gotta pay no bills because there's a lot of leverage between mortgages and bank loans and finances and insurance companies. They're all working with the consumers due to this outbreak. Everybody's talking about they can't get on the game. Get out of here.
Yeah, and plus everybody that's
What
like
you-
working or that's out of work right now is going to get like $1,000 a month for the day.
Yeah, honestly, bro, that's stupid. I'm not gonna say no to free money, but it's still stupid. I don't see the point of it. I don't see what it's gonna do. It ain't gonna do nothing. People are gonna blow it on dumb things.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know, yeah, it'll help people go shopping and stuff. Like the ones who actually do know how to like budget their spendings. Like they're if like I like the people who actually uses like the Google spreadsheet and make like a budget planner, or like people that just take like a notebook and a piece of paper and a pen and just write down their budget and finances and what their spending limits are. People don't do that nowadays. Everybody just free spends, like free roams. They just go to the store and spend freely. Like there's no calculations. There's no like goal. Like they walk into a store, they don't even make a shopping list. They just shop. And that alone will make you spend more than what you went there for. You go, hey, I just need a gallon of milk, and you walk out with like a full shopping cart because, oh, this is on sale. Oh, this is clearance. Oh, look at this. Oh, I do need that as well.
Sounds like one of my brothers. He does.
Yeah.
They go to the store to buy a few things, and they end up with 3 shopping carts full of about $300 to $400 worth of food like, that they didn't need. Like, wow.
Yo, sweet tea sounds pretty good. I like where Thomas is coming with that though. Oh, did you see the new thing that Twitch is doing? They have a thing now when you're offline. You can. I'm gonna have to add like a little trailer, like a little video trailer. I don't see the point of it. Like I get it, but this is not YouTube.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of those like social sites you be going to, they be trying to say, hey, well, make a video of your profile. Like, hey guys, welcome to my Twitch page. Currently, I'm offline, but if you like more information about me, check my bio section and also check my streaming schedule for the days that I am live and the times that I go live. If you're curious to see what type of games we play, be sure to check out our Discord down below there in the description, and we'll see you guys there soon.
That's what it sounds. That's what. Wow. That'd be just. If
Yeah.
you can't scroll down, then I guess they don't need to find out then, right?
Well, the cool thing is though, is like now when I'm offline, you can actually add some social links, so that's kind of cool. You're only limited to 6 though. That's actually pretty cool. So when I go offline, I'll have you check it out. That's not bad. I did like that idea. So you could do a video trailer, you could do social links, and you can do what was the other one? There was a third option. Oh, you can actually add a stream schedule. Like it's like a slideshow. So like the slideshow will show you video trailer, your social links, and then your streaming schedule, which I think you could put like which game you're gonna play, at what time, and with how many hours.
Oh, cool.
Which is not bad. It's kind of cool.
Be-
But like I try to tell people before, I try to keep a strict schedule. Honestly, dude, it ain't worth it. I'm just a casual streamer. I'm not sitting here. I don't have a manager telling me like, hey, Tuesday we're gonna need you to play this game for this amount of hours. You know, I don't do that. So I give up on that. Now, if things get, I don't know, bro. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know if you noticed, but streaming is like it's different now.
Yeah.
I miss 2014 to 2017, maybe a little bit of 2018, but after that, dude, streaming went down. It's so saturated now. Like too many people go live now. It's a thing for everybody. Everybody do it. Even people I would have never imagined to live stream because I know they're not a people's person. They're live streaming. So it's the accessibility, like anybody can access it now. It's so simplified. Like your phone, your laptop, your computer. You don't need a high-end rig anymore. You don't need anything, bro. Like you can literally just go live.
Well, like Dr. Disrespect, he's kind of one of those people that don't seem like he's really social.
No. He does his own thing. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a great guy. He knows what he's doing, and I give him thumbs up. I like what he does is the way to do it. You know, he built a character for himself. One, bam, good going. Two, he has that personality. He has his scenes, and it's not all gameplay. You know what I'm saying? Like, he knows what he's doing, and that's like another streamer I watch. He's not really big, but he actually has like a profession in like announcing. Like he used to do like, I guess, like sports games or something. So you could tell he has like that announcer voice, like, all right, guys, currently we're going to be heading into this direction. We're switching lanes right now. We don't know what's going to happen. And here he goes, and oh, I just got it. Like, you know, he talks like an announcer. So he's great at that. So he is a people's person. So he has that way of, he has that connection with intellectual communication skills. I don't think nobody should not stream. I mean, I think it's a great thing that everybody can stream, but sometimes, bro, I go into channels and I'm just sitting there like, when they don't talk, no webcam, no talking, I'm just like, why are you live?
Yeah.
Why are you clogging up the live streaming platform? Why are you making it harder for the guy below you to who's working so hard? He's got a webcam, he's got gaming, he's talking, he's probably like talking nonstop, because a lot of these streamers will lie to you saying, oh, stay active and stream every single day and don't stop, keep streaming. That's not what you need to do. Hey, welcome back to Netable. Yeah, it's not what you need to do. You remember me, bro, how I used to do it when I went streaming. I know what I need to do. I just don't got the time. And even the time that I do have, I'm usually out doing something, so I'm busy. Like, I can't focus on the screen for like consecutive amount of hours anymore like I used to. Before, I could stop what I was doing, not go out and go anywhere and do anything, and stayed home because I was making money. It was fine. Now I gotta like squeeze streaming into like what I'm doing and whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But I love streaming, bro. I've been doing it since what, 2014? Like, I don't want to just stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, I enjoy it. Like, it's a passion. I think it's everybody's passion, to be honest. But I think at one point I was planning to go crazy with it, you know. But at the point to now, streaming feels like a freaking job, bro. You see me, I'm always troubleshooting. I gotta fix Trixzbot. I gotta, you know, I'm trying to look through Discord, and I know there's gonna be sacrifices I would have to make, and I just haven't made some of them yet. I don't know. I like that emo, by the way. You got me looking like Albert Wesker.
Your glasses lean in on the side.
Got my glasses bent. Food does sound good. Food does sound good. What the heck was I talking about? But no, honestly, so there is one thing I want to do. I just need somebody who can do it. I could go to like Fiverr or whatever and find these like artists who would do something for me, but I think I want like a more personal connection with. Ugh, or just farty. That's just weird. Why would you do that? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's it, bro. We need to get some freaking kills. I'm tired of these players getting so lucky. No wonder I see YouTube videos of people saying uninstall or rage quit, and it's like the type of depths that I'm getting is like, how, why, where? You got me doing all the W's. You got me going who, where, when, how, why, what? Like, what the?
Well, did you see how I got killed? I got shot from the back and the front. Like, wow.
Yeah, let me see if I can get us a third, bro. Like, I don't get it. Like, I'm done. Like, I swear,
Solid still want to play?
I told who?
Solid?
Nah, Solid's with Speedy right now. I can't invite them because there's two of them. Yeah, they're doing Warzone too. So, well, for Speedy, it shows me he's playing Warzone. Yeah, they're both on Warzone together. Unfortunately, what's Clipper doing? Yeah, everybody's on Warzone, bro. Nobody plays regular Modern Warfare no more.
I know.
Dude, I want to do Google Stadia so bad, but I'm scared to take that jump. Like, they don't even have that many games to be honest, and a lot of them are like, I could just play this on my computer.
Yeah, and after I seen what the issues they had, I was like, I'm gonna wait.
Yeah, $300 is a bit steep, bro. I'd rather pay $5 a month or something like that, but for $300, that's
yeah.
It's too much. That's like subscribing to Trix for $300. You know, whatever, how many months that is, whatever that is. I don't feel like doing math today. Usually I can, not today. I got too much in my head.
You get a whole year.
Yeah, well, you'll definitely get a year.
Game Pass for less than that. And you get hundreds of games there too. Even EA Studio you get cheaper than.
Why am I yawning? It's because I hit 4 hours. We can't go down like that, bro. No. We
were doing so good.
We're gonna definitely get that comeback.
Yeah, we started off so good. We had 5 kills each. Our teammate, I don't know how many kills he had because he quit early, but he probably had like 5 or 6 kills. And then we all just
definitely.
But mine was so suspicious where the first time I died when I got killed the first time and you brought me back. The guy knew exactly where I was at, like, really? Yeah,
I tried, bro. I sacrificed myself out there to get you back and resurrected, and it got me killed. Nah, seriously, let's get back in the grind. All right,
You know, I was coming back to get you back, and then I got killed. But I did get one headshot snipe, just blasted the guy in the face. He was down, but then his teammate came, and then somebody behind me came behind me, and I was getting shot from both sides. Like, I tried to hide, but it didn't work. But the one that makes me mad, though, is the guy that came in there and knew exactly where I was at. Like, really? You just walk into this building and know exactly where to go to.
Look at that. We're almost both the same level. What, 72, 73?
I know.
Oh, guess what? My son, I got him the GeForce Now Premium, whatever. Dude, all them games run good on his computer. His computer is, like, not the best. It runs games real good.
Right?
Well, I'm mad now. Huh?
It's a 6 hour.
No, yeah, well, I'm ready now, bro. I'm ready now. Where the hell is everybody at?
It's a midget. Oh, you cowered with the rocket launcher. Gee, you're right. Get some skill.
Wow, I'm over here shooting this guy. I realized the round was over.
I got RPGs in the back.
The game is actually surprisingly running great today.
I know, it's a shocker. It's shocking me too, because I'm actually not killing my PC. You get 90 frames in the plane.
Battle Royale. Gas is approaching your position. Move to the safe zone.
What? What? Oh my gosh, no way! What are we looking like here, guys? Oh my gosh! Look at that! Sub and a donation today. Wow, you're awesome, guys. Make sure you guys are checking out board. Can I get a shout out for Bori, guys? Oh my gosh. Oops. I don't even know what the destination was. Yo, what's the LZ? Oh, I think I know. The The magnifying glass.
Yep. Magnifying glass. Yep. Go there.
Did you just say hourglass? Jay, are you feeling all right? What you want, bro? Pass that down, because I need to get on that level. Hourglass. Woo!
Glass. I was like, I had the glass part, right?
Yeah, you did. You did. You sure did.
Oh, I missed it. Oh, man, I missed it. Hold on.
Enemy!
I failed. Did I press the ladder? Can't climb the ladder, I swear.
Wow! Get out, dude. Dry garbage. Wow, he didn't even shoot me, bro. Got lucky with that one. Tell Bori they're fired? What? Why? Why? Bori came in with the sub today and donated $8 to the stream, guys. Because of Bori, we're gonna keep going live. Because actually, I was supposed to get off.
You earn your freedom.
Look.
Pay attention, you'll be out there soon. Get yourself sorted, you're up there.
Oh my god, I can't type it. Yeah, I can't. I tried.
Return to the front line.
I got a pistol around here, Jay. I don't know if I can do it. All right, guys, we got to do it. We got to do it.
Freedom, soldier.
Wow, no way, bro. Come on.
All over you. Team can still buy your release.
Straight luck. Straight luck. Yeah, we've been on too long, guys. We haven't hit any of the goals. So usually at about 4 hours is usually when I get off. But hey, I'll stay live a little bit. All thanks to Bori, guys. Shout out to Bori for that one. Big time. I got you, Bori. I'm going to get you a cast. So shout out, guys. Make sure you guys are definitely following. Hold on. I can't even spell your name right. Udin. Bori, that's it, right?
Oh, yep.
Forgot. Look at that. 207 followers? Okay. Okay. I can't today. My mind is... It's fried like fried chicken. Fried chicken. Oh my god.
Okay, we got 4,300 complete.
You got this, Jay. My faith is in your hands, bro. I got wrecked by the flag, bro. Watch your... Oh, that's your teammate. Never mind.
I almost killed somebody too, but I couldn't kill him because they're on the...
Yeah, look how smooth this game is running.
Ooh, don't. Can't be like...
Wow, Outlast. Look at that. You were playing Outlast. I think I do remember seeing you play that. That was a while ago. How long ago? It's been a while since you've been live, huh? Yo, thank you so much, by the way, for that. I really appreciate it. Which one did you do? Oh, wait, did you put your name? Why is it not showing your name? Oh, you didn't put your name. But it showed your name, though. I saw your name do it. I'm gonna hit replay, guys. Hold on.
Mark the target.
Guess it's not gonna replay. Now I gotta go look and... Did you want it to keep the donation anonymous? Hold on, let me check something here. Let me check my if my computer lets me.
Sniper rifle here.
You did put your name? Huh. It says from blank. I don't know why it says from blank.
Run. Get to the zone.
Can I move that?
Yeah, I do see it here. I got you. Oh, what the heck? What just happened? Oh, I screwed everything up, man. Come on. Yo, I'm about to close this bot and reopen it up. Hold on. I screwed it up. God dang it. Well, Trixzbot needed to reboot anyway. We're gonna fix Trixzbot here, guys. Where the hell is my Trixzbot? Yo, what the heck? Oh, there we go. Driving me crazy up in here. Alright. Yo, we got some subs in the house tonight. We got 4 of the subs here? Yo, how many of the VIPs here right now? Let's find out. Ready? Bam. No, I shouldn't have done that. Well, it's a good thing I did that. Because right now we're gonna do this. Bam! 4 VIPs, yeah, I was right. Look at you guys. Okay, so let's go here. Let's click on this again. Right here. I need to edit this. Which ID is gonna be gotcha, should save. There you go. I got your name up there now. Okay, there we go. I wanted to make sure your name is up there. Bum, bum, bum. I have to charge my phone. 11%? No! My phone's always at 69%. Fired! Fired, fired, fired. Fired, fired. You... I know you saw him. Ran out of ammo already? Oh, 20 bullets, no wonder. Yes. You might want to get out of there, bro. They know where you are. Good spot. Good spot. They know. Be careful. Easy. Oh, gas is coming inbound. Oh, you're just being nice. Oh. Oh, Jim, no! Oh, you gotta put your sensitivity up a bit.
Dang.
No, Jim, you had one job. I'm just kidding. Hey, Eli, Jay, come on, bro. Oh, wait, that's our teammate? Well, let's see. Maybe our teammate pulled a clutch? What do you think? Oh, he has auto. Look, he has rapid fire. Look, he only has to tap it once and it like auto shoots or auto hits.
Wow, what the heck was that gun?
Look, there ain't no way he's tapping his controller that fast. Well, he's tapping that booty. He on it. He's smacking it. Right, come on, Squatch. You got this, bro.
Yeah, I got killed.
I know, I saw you, bro. You got wrecked. It's like your aim was like slower than him moving.
I know. I hit him a couple times, but man.
Yeah. That flag comes out way too fast. Oh! Squatch is dead. Lead the game.
God, man, that stuff lasts 5 years.
Lasts too damn long. That's what it lasts. Way too long. Too quick,
You can
man.
stand on the other side of the map, get stunned, he can run.
Too quick. Oh, we got some more people on MC. Who's on? Too crazy usually. Oh yeah, too crazy. You know, hold on. I got us a third. He always wants to play. I got him. We'd love to play with the other 2 guys, man, but we can't do Warzone. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of boo boo. I haven't said that in a while. Kind of boo boo. Put a band-aid on it. You know what's weird, bro? Okay, usually I stream at 30 FPS, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I stream at 60 FPS, everything runs better. Like, shouldn't it be the opposite? Like, lower resolution, lower FPS, lower bandwidth, lower bitrate, everything should be running better. Okay, so I've done a lot of research on the GTX 1080 Ti's, right? And there's one thing I learned about the card. If you don't use the full potential power of it, it runs like trash. So they do say run it at 4K or at high FPS, because if not, it doesn't run the way it should. It's actually true. I've tested it where if I put games on low settings and low whatever and I try to play it, it actually runs worse than it would if I put everything on max. How? Why? What? I don't get it. Yo, too crazy. You better get in here, bro. You know, somebody said they didn't get my invites earlier. Hold on. That's probably why I'm inviting people and they're not getting it, bro. Because last time they said they weren't getting it.
Yeah, I think Xbox is having an issue, or maybe it's the communication between PC and Xbox or PC and console.
Yeah, could be. Wow, I just can't believe we have Donata Booty in here, bro. It's been a while. It's nice to see our old members coming back. Like, I gotta do something, bro. I had to form our own team together. Like, remember when we had whole TGS, bro? Oh man,
Oh yeah.
I was on top of it though. I ain't gonna lie. I remember I made a roster. We had a team and we had a fam chat, but it was a lot of work. I ain't gonna lie. Will I do it again? I don't know. It'd probably be only on Discord.
Yeah.
Speaking of Discord, I didn't rework it. Said I would. I know the game topics. I kind of just want to remove all of it. I want to keep the information, but I really need to redo my welcomes. Well, not the welcomes, the rules and info. Like, it's okay, but I want to make it look more like appealing. You know.
Yeah.
This has been there since I first had Discord. Announcements is cool. When I have important announcements, I try not to spam people's cell phones. In-stream announcements I have on there too for those that want to know when I'm live. But I don't have it set to at everyone. No wonder why nobody knows I'm live. Oh, I didn't even think about that.
My Discord, the only way I know you're live is my channel tells me.
Yeah, I feel bad now. So this is kind of useless. Who says I'm live? Which bot is this? Trixzbot? Something. I forgot how I did this. My gosh, which bot? Hold on, give me a second. I'm gonna join this dude's game and I'll be right back. Hold on.
Okay.
There's I. Nothing too shabby.
Oh, there he is. Yeah, who you talking to, bro? Ignore my invites, bro. I'm a little heartbroken there.
Oh, I was trying to join. But
Excuses, bro. I'm not a lady. I'm not your second, person. Like, you don't have to lie to me, bro. Nah, you're good. Yo, did my invites pull through, or did you just ignore them? Be honest. You ignored them. It's all good.
No,
All right, so.
I got him.
Wow, that's messed up.
Nah, I'm just joking with him. Nah, you're good, bro. You're good. All right, I'm gonna. Actually, I'll let you be the host. Hold on, give me a second. Let me bring somebody in here. You about to Warzone it up? Yeah, you're about to Warzone up. You ain't got a choice. All right, give me a second.
Yeah, that last round, man, it was bad.
Yeah, did you get it, Jay?
Yeah, I got it. These invites work. I don't know if it's...
Dude, I don't remember. Jay, this is, Oh, bro, your name is different on here. What the hell's your name here? Too Crazy. And, Too Crazy, this is J13 Jim. This is one of my Twitch moderators. It should be nice to him. He'll give me the band hammer through the screen from Twitch all the way over here to,
I have the hammer.
Hey, Trix, you can call me Jay if you want. If it makes it easy.
Okay, bro. No real names, no real IPs, no real locations, no real whether you got the coronavirus and you quarantine yourself or you're trying to intentionally infect the entire world. That's completely your discretion. I want nothing to do with it. Never heard a thing. Me don't speak in English.
I can't even
How do
hear
I
him.
switch it to Warzone?
It's like a switchblade, bro. All you gotta do is just flick it with the wrist.
How do I get the chat to work? What the...
Oh, right here. That's how it is.
Yeah. I used to play that one mini game where it's called ball tapping. All you gotta do is flick that wrist, bro. Like, flick it.
Okay, so which boost one is the best one?
Give me 1 second. Jay's on Discord, but he can hear you in game. You can hear him, right, Jay?
No, I can't.
You can't hear him?
I can't hear him, no.
Oh, hold on, Too Crazy. Hold on, because we need voice chat with this, all of us, so we can all hear each other. Let me see what's going on with Jay's end real quick. Hold on. All right, Jay, what's going on with the team game chat? How come you can't hear? What's going on?
I have voice chat enabled.
All right.
Volume is at 100.
Okay, hold on. Go to options. Go to audio. Scroll down. Okay, voice chat's at 100, right?
Yep.
All right. The weird thing about this is what do you have voice chat set to? Is it mute everyone except party or enabled?
It's enabled.
It's enabled. Okay.
I've been having this issue for quite a while. I don't know what happened because I used to mute everybody that was not in the party because I didn't want to hear their talking.
Oh, I hate the toxicness in this game. It's annoying. I got it. Same here, except for party. Your Windows settings. If you go to your speaker icon, right click, open sound settings. Are you following me?
Yeah.
Okay, where it says choose your input device, what do you have?
Okay, maybe that's what it is.
Was it switched?
No. It just has my microphone as different, but my speakers are.
Okay, yeah. So your output will be your speakers. So whatever you want the game sound or whatever, and then your input will be for your microphone, pretty much.
Okay, it's on my speakers, and
now we can do it the easy way. To the right where it shows related settings, I want you to click sound control panel. Click that for me.
Sound control panel. Okay.
When you have that open, you're probably gonna see a bunch of Mojo Jobo. Like me, oh god, that's so much like properties because I use a lot of like remote streaming crap, and virtual audio cables and bull shenanigans. So your headphones are obviously your primary, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you have anything else connected as like a communication device, or did you set your headphones both? Like you want to make sure both are clicked with set as default and set as default communication device.
Okay, that might be what I changed because I do have voice meter set up as.
Voice meter is so weird. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Try to switch it.
Okay, let's see if that actually helps. Okay, I got it all set up the same way.
And same for your output too. For your input device, I mean, for your microphone. That might be why your voice chat won't work in game. Can you hear us now, Jay? Hello, testing. Hey.
Yeah, I can hear it now. Yep.
Okay, Jay can hear us now in the game. I had to help him set up real quick. I guess I'm not that much of a noob. I was able to help him out in a matter of 30 seconds. Look at that. Would say I got 5 on it, but it took 30. It does. Voice meter does. Yeah, we're good, Jay. We're good. Ready whenever you are, bro. Let's go. Let's go clap some booty. I mean, kick some butt cheeks and yeah.
Shoot some people.
Yeah.
You live streaming right now?
Yeah. I need a good run, man. You gotta make it look good. You're gonna carry us, right? Left shoulder, right shoulder, cause yeah. I know. You haven't benched in a while, but you got this, bro. Come on. Man. I guess Xbox players are having like live issues or something. So even I had issues. I kept getting disconnected, so I had to like switch from Xbox to PC again because just wouldn't do it.
What was it? The other day they had a maintenance shutdown on this game.
That explains it. Well, they got the nice keyword beta to protect itself, so we can't really complain.
Maintenance meaning hack.
No, the Blizzard was hacked, yes.
There's a maintenance.
But not Call of Duty.
I know. So I was like, alright.
Thomas is like, what the deuce? Yeah, I love that command. It's so funny. I love hearing Lil Stewie.
Yeah, I like it too. That's why I had to do it.
Bro, if I had the finances to do it, bro, I swear to you guys, I would have animations for all the sound alerts.
That's lucky, bro.
And maybe even get them customized. Like, maybe make the farts more wet, more moist onto the screen, you know?
Japanese thing.
Wait, what is it? What are you talking about?
Anime. Oh, I was talking to my friend. He bought this pink skin thing from the.
Pink. Okay, I'm digging it. Okay, got the Plink Flamingo game going on. All right.
It has like anime on it. The gun. The Japanese words. It's lucky dope.
Here's a pink gun for you.
Oh, and it shoots pink bullets.
Oh no!
Shoot
Your left.
pink bullets. That'd be cool.
You didn't see him?
Oh gosh.
I got my pink.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Really do all those last time?
What? You said you want to play Call of Duty Mobile.
On my phone. Heck no.
What happened, bro? You were all about that, remember? What happened? Really, you ain't trying to play mobile Call of Duty with me no more, man?
That stuff is boring now.
I know, bro. Honestly, dude, once the bots were at it and all that shenanigans, like, it's cool, but nah. It was a good weight towards the new Call of Duty, though. I ain't gonna lie. But other than that, after this came out, I was like, nah, why would we want that for? Plus, it's too dang expensive, bro. They try to get you to spend money on the guns. Kind of makes you feel like you're playing Counter-Strike with Call of Duty. Gotta make a nice skin worth $1 million. Like, hey, get it out, nice skin, limited edition, here for $1 million. Okay, I'll take it.
For that's how it be.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What time do you usually get off?
Usually I do 4 hours and that's it. But going a little overtime today.
July.
I didn't stream yesterday, so.
You still have work? Because of quarantine?
Me work? I don't know. I wish I worked. I gotta find my own way to make my own money out here nowadays. Because I don't like working for employers, bro. They be on some other shenanigans. I don't like what they pay, or I don't like their rules, or I don't like their anything. I don't like their policies. I don't like working for somebody that wants to pay me little to nothing, you know?
Yeah, I feel it.
Yeah, I ain't doing it, bro.
Y'all ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. My bad, Jay. I didn't even have you muted on Discord. My bad, bro.
Yo, that gun's overpowered.
I just hear an echo. That's fine.
What's up, Aradar? How's it going, bro?
I thought you seen him, so I didn't say nothing that way.
Woo! All right, let me think. Oh, bro, today I was so mad. I spilled my drink on my desk. And remember how I told you my desk is literally a giant mouse pad? So, like, imagine that getting wet. Oh, I got so mad.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Your eyes are always moving.
Stupid battle pass is annoying. It just keeps popping up. Like, oh, get the battle pass.
I don't want the battle. I don't need it. I don't care.
You just like shove it down your throat now. It's like pops up randomly. Like, oh, yeah, you can get the battle pass right now.
I know. I be trying to click friend list and then I keep hitting the freaking store. But no, bro. I noticed even on Xbox, I was having some weird lag on this game. It's the same thing. It's like, what's the difference?
It actually played pretty good on my phone.
Huh?
It actually played pretty good when I was playing on my phone.
Yeah, no, the Xbox ran good. Oh, it's a nice little warm up. And of course, I can't climb a ledge when I'm on a. Come on, man.
Shot.
Come on, man.
It makes it sound like. Oh boy.
Ba-da-bum, ba-da-ba-da-way-o. Ba-boom, boom, boom.
Where'd
What?
you get the shot from? Wow.
Jay!
This kid turned it up.
Instant lightning basically with the pen.
Throwing grenade!
Warm up's done. Time to kick this off.
No! Kelso, what's up? What's going on, bro? How are you, man?
The playtime.
Yeah, I know. It was so fast. The loading was so fast.
Sometimes you play for like almost a little minute. There's sometimes you play for like.
All right, there. You ready for this? You ready for this, guys? Let's go. Look at us. Look at it. We're so bad.
Wow, that is so loud. That plane. Wow.
The what's so loud? The plane's loud? Is that what you're saying, Jay?
Gas is approaching.
All right. Too crazy. I'm gonna let you call the drop. Where we going? Go, go, go. Call the Arizona. Give us the OZ. Where we headed? TV station. Copy that. 10-4. 76. I'm gonna do the 20. Over. Jumping up now. Go, go, go. Look, I'm gonna be on TV. Oh.
Wow.
Oh my God! Really? Really? too crazy, bro. You put us in a depth zone, bro.
Hey.
Bro, man, like, how much you want to bet? Or too crazy landed somewhere else zone, but made us land at TVs.
Hey, I landed there too. Don't hate.
Win here and you
I got my stuff.
Oh yeah, you're in here with me. Okay, you did. Oh yeah, you ain't lying.
Hey, get
Yo, what the hell?
Deploying stun.
Oh wait, I mean, wait. Yeah, you're right side. My fault.
Boom! Take that! Yeah, eat that grenade. Almost broke my chair just now. What the heck? All right, guys, we're jumping back in. I'm going to the superstore. Screw this. No. Yeah. All right.
Great, I got a pistol.
Oh my God! Really? Get out of here, dude. F you, bro. Wow, he shot me with all that. You need that much bullets to take me out, for real? I just spawned. Yeah, I broke my chair.
I have no money.
Wait, what the heck is that?
Let's go. Alright, he's back.
Oh, that was. Where is that? That was easy.
Okay, well, I'm down and out, guys. We're gonna wait for the team here, see what they can do, see if they can pull something out here for us here. None of them really got money right now. Everybody broke. You both are broke. Oh gosh. You guys remind me of my friends down the street. Oh man.
No.
Do you ever get like one of those friends that like hang out with you and be like, nah, bro, I'm broke, bro. Hey, do you mind copying me that? And you'd be like, look, bro, you and your freeloading self go somewhere, bro. Oh. Yeah. No, you know what I do? I let them.
I got a machine gun. I got a pistol.
I let them get in the car and I take them to one of those corners where money can be made. But here you go, bro. Do your thing.
You such a...
I just got destroyed because I had a pistol against a machine.
Nah, but seriously though, guys, what do you guys think? I might make a YouTube video about me wearing some yoga pants. I'm gonna like bend over and do some stretches. Oh, the yoga pants got you, didn't it? Though, didn't it?
Oh, that
I just warm up game real quick.
Oh, we got this. We got this. We're leveling up though. That's good, man. We get a lot of. Honestly, we get a lot of points for these modes. Like I don't get this whole battle pass shenanigan. Oh, man. I don't like that we keep getting
What
disconnected.
happened, Chase?
I click leave game, but I.
Back out. I'll back us out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's what happened.
You don't worry about it. You just got smacked. He headshotted you.
One of those corners where money can be made. Yeah, you already know, Kinky. Yep.
that round was toxic.
It was. Oh, good. That's what Call of Duty's all about, man. Toxic, it's good. It feeds my anxiety. So let's go.
I spawned back in and I landed and went into that building,
Dang, y'all
and
both
there was a
playing
whole
on
team
PC?
there.
Yeah.
I feel left out.
Ryzen 3600 GTX 1660 Super
Just two machine
OC.
guns killed me there.
Hype to start
That's how
shooting
bad it
again.
was.
Go for it, Kelso. Do it, bro. Honestly, this is like my final rig, probably. I don't know. I'll keep trying. You know, we'll see how streaming goes, guys. But I don't know. Yo, man, come on, dude. Dash. All right, let's get back down there.
Why was I playing?
Quicker, man, quicker. It's taking so damn long. Wow.
Wow.
Just can't do anything. There's so many people. Or let's go. Yeah. Wait, why am I reading the same spot again? All right, let's go back down, guys.
Playtime's over, mate. You're going to the war zone.
Wow. Let's do it.
How are we gonna get this round?
All right. We got it. We got it. I've been pretty good. Been pretty good. Been doing all right. Heck yeah, man.
I have it all the way down. But I'll leave it open for you.
You said you got your booties all the way down.
Drop point for your team. You'll lead them in.
Oh, no.
Gas is closing on your position. Just get.
I don't know, man. Too crazy got us killed last time. Jay, where you want to land? J-13! Train station? Okay.
This is our left. This is our left. This is our left.
There we go. Yeah, but I hope everything's been great with you, though, Kelso, especially with times like today. You know, I hope you guys are being safe with everything. Everything's going good.
Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. Please don't.
Yo, climb the wall, man. Climb the wall, man. Oh God. Oh. It's a store. We don't want to do that right now. We ain't got the money for it.
Wow.
Oh. What happened?
Parachute didn't deploy.
I got you, bro. I got you.
Dude, the parachute didn't
I'm on
deploy.
my way.
Take
Oh,
the
wait,
pain.
that
You're
was-
fine.
All right, we got to get our teammate covered, guys.
Wow, that was bogus.
Hey, there's a helicopter coming. There you guys is south. Alright. Southeast, I mean.
All right, let's see what else we got up here, guys. Should you looking around, see what else we got? No, that's a negative.
Jim.
There's gonna be someone inside this building.
I've got an SM.
No?
Going this way. Contact.
It's a go.
Yeah, been looking to stream with all this new free time. Yeah, that's true. I think a lot of people are streaming right now, though, Kelso. A lot of people. I say go for it, bro. Play the games you like to play. Do what you enjoy and have a good time. Gotta kill this quarantine time, guys. You know what I'm saying? I don't think the quarantine is gonna stop me doing what I need to do, though. I still gotta go out there and take care of my own business. All right, let's see. More money, which is good. Just an assault rifle. M13.
What was that?
I don't know. And yo, where are we at on the map anyway? We need to go at downtown. How come it doesn't even like show my location? Bro, how come I can't see my own markers?
Oh. Hey, what?
Thank you. You too, Ed. I hope you've been safe too. Just trying to figure out if I want to YouTube or stream. Wait. Just trying to figure out if I want to YouTube or stream Black World. Up to you, bro. YouTube be better. You can always archive it. You can edit whatever you're doing. Live stream's a little crazy. Yeah, definitely. You guys definitely want to be careful. Especially if you got like lockdowns, guys. You don't want to be getting caught with a fine for that shenanigans.
Dang, these guys are finding all the money.
Get upstairs real quick.
Broke.
Supply box ready to pick up.
Jay, where you at, bro?
Gas is closing in.
The next dude. I was in the same building you were
Contract
just in.
updated. New objective identified.
All right, we gotta watch and see what's around us here, guys.
Did you want something, Jim? My fault, bro.
That's
Okay.
good. I think he went with that.
Jim, no, you need this. Come here.
Why is
I'll go to the next loadout one.
Oh, there's blood here. Who was here? Yo, too crazy. Needs help. Let's go.
I see movement.
Oh no, I'm good.
Contract updated. New objective identified.
I don't know if y'all want that. Oh, we gotta get to circle. I'm trying to get to that. Oh, I got a helicopter on me. Right there.
Enemy pilots.
Can you get in this?
We need more money. You been on lockdown for a few days? Ooh. Yeah, lockdown's pretty strict. Don't need to tell me. I'm in Cali. That seems very deep over here, right? A few days. Lucky mine's going for a month. Yeah. I think we're not on, well, at least where I'm at, we're not in a complete lockdown, but we're on the only go out for essentials type of deal, so you just can't be out all the time.
Contract
Alright guys, we're grabbing some money.
I got gas, nice.
We don't need those unless you guys want to fart.
I found this. Open.
Oh, I always carry one, just in case.
Save it for me.
That's true, that's true.
Oh, I got a guy ahead of us. He's like east.
Let's grab that mask.
Loot over here, y'all.
I would definitely take that medical syringe.
I'm done
Would it-
taking all the loot.
Did it replace my...
Found a sniper rifle.
There ain't no way to really get up there.
Hey, yo, Trix, do you need any armor? Are you full on it?
Yeah, I do. I gave my last 2 armors to Jay. Well, I just got 1 now, actually.
Well, there's a whole bunch of armor over here. Like, there's a dead body over there.
Take it, take it, take it, take it.
Dude. We gotta circle, y'all.
Is this Skippy? Oh yeah, it is sometimes.
I got a guy. Oh, my.
Yeah, why is it skipping?
It's glitching.
the gulag. If they survive, they can redeploy.
Alright, I'm fighting right now.
Yeah, circle's coming in. I'll get you back in, Jay. Hold on. Or, yeah, hold on.
Your teammate is redeploying. Stand by.
I'm released.
Oh, good, sweet. Dang it, watch my back, Jay. Dang it.
I'm dying from gas. still.
Oh my god.
Catch him, my love.
Wow.
That's a good job. That's a good job. Yeah, I don't know why it's skipping so much, man. It's the game. It's this freaking game.
Okay.
This is the Gulag. Survive and you can redeploy.
But it ain't skipping now. Yeah, it is sometimes.
Get ready to fight.
This
You're
is
next.
stupid. I hate this so bad. Like, I hate that I have to do this. Actually, let me keep it there. I think what we're gonna do... The skipping should stop now.
Is right there. I think.
You win this fight and you return.
Sometimes it does it, but not as much.
You're done here. Sort them out or capture the objective.
Oh.
Alright, let's get back in there.
I'm gonna watch the staircase.
It's running better now. Okay. I lost all my money. My god, man. Wow. Get in the damn window, man. Come on. Oh my god. Okay, I got shotgun. Not the best weapons in the world.
Come on. Stuck. Ooh, come on. Make it, make it, make it.
Yo, Trix, you're really far from us.
Yeah, it's where it spawned me, bro. My bad.
Nah, you're straight. Don't worry about it. Hey, jump on the 4-wheeler and then we'll drive over there. We'll try our best.
Yeah, no, it's the game, man. The way it's developed, you know what I'm saying? It's the developers, bro. Straight up. Like, I've even seen like people that run dual PC setups still struggle.
Good driver, by the way.
Like, so far it's running better, I think. Still stutters though. Oh my god, what the heck is going on here? Oh god. What did I do?
Oh, I'm gonna get us killed.
Of course. Wow! No way, dude. Whatever. Garbage. I'm trying to fix something here.
Just buy him back. I'm gonna buy you back, alright, Trix?
I don't care, bro. I shot the dude 3 freaking times with a shotgun. None of it mattered. Outta here. My god, I can't even fix my game because I gotta do something already. Come on, man. Oh god. No weapons. This is trashy, man. Constantly stuck with something I don't. Okay, hold on. Let me fix this dang thing. Where the hell is it?
Hey, in there's my body.
Wow. Why is it doing this, man? Come on.
Marking new safe zone.
Yo, Trix, what you doing, bro?
This is stupid.
Mark a drop point for your team. Teammates in the Gulag. If they survive, they can redeploy.
My god, why does it want to grab everything else but what the... Oh my god. What else am I dragging here?
Stand by.
Thank you.
champion of Gulag.
I messed everything up. I can't do this. Like I'm Come on, I don't have time for nothing. This stupid game. I'm just gonna go down. Screw it. I don't even care right now. I just ruined everything. God, man, I'm trying to fix something and I can't.
Run. Get to the
Now I got a stupid pistol.
Okay. Okay.
Come on, man. I'm sorry, guys. Just bear with me. I should have got off at my 4-hour mark. I shouldn't even be streaming right now. But I'm gonna try.
Wow.
Shotguns are useless in this mode. Whatever, man. Come on with your shield, bro. I don't have anything. Nothing worthwhile anyways. All pretty gooey. Whatever, dude. Alright, I can fix my stream finally. Alright, let me see. What the hell did I do, man?
Where are you camping at? Wow.
You're good.
He was in the other side. Three. Yeah.
Nah, I'm not gonna be on too much longer. I gotta get on. I'm getting too frustrated right now. This is stupid. This is stupid. This is like when I drag something, everything else dragged on me. Alright, I'm just gonna